hath no fury like a woman scorned. This phrase, I believe, is used to describe a woman who has been rejected by her husband or longtime spouse and replaced with a younger woman. These types of broken relationships can lead to the woman having a mental breakdown and cause them to act on impulse and irrationally. This scenario, in some way, is what happens with Everton Beachy Stout McDonald's first wife, Merlene Petal McDonald. For all who don't know who is Everton Beachy Stout McDonald, let me give you a brief highlight. He was a prominent, rich businessman from Portland Parish who was arrested, charged, tried, and found guilty of conspiring to murder his younger second wife, Tonya McDonald, in August of 2020. He is currently in prison doing time for that crime. Let us rewind to the year 2005 in Port Antonio, Portland. Beachy Stout was then married to his first wife, Merlene, otherwise known as Petal. The couple were together from sweetheart school days and were prominent owners of supermarkets and wholesale businesses, as well as a few real estates. It is said that Merlene was the brains behind the success of the businesses. On the other hand, Everton Beachy Stout McDonald was described as arrogant, erratic-tempered, and a show-off middle-aged man, as seen in this video.
There's a box of Moet or champagne from each table. 24 table only for the party. And the best dancer in the party, woman crew, take home $100,000. The man can flap it up and dance it up and make it look like we can back it up. Saying,
Beauty heavy.
Mary Shine Entertainment and Crystal said that. Not about the money, we're rich and large and big. Remember, Beachy Stout are the richest black man ever come across Portland. And he must be the first billionaire to in a Portland. Hold that. No apology. Done.
He was said to use his money to influence vulnerable persons. It was also rumored through Port Antonio that Beachy Stout has a fetish for underage girls, and the people who knew this sinister, illegal secret of his failed to report him to authorities, as it was said he had the top-ranked police at the Portland division in his pocket. When Tonya and Beachy Stout initially got acquainted, she was a 17-year-old student at the Titchfield High School in Portland. Tonya could be described in Jamaica terminology as a force-ripe teen, which means mature beyond her years. She was a gold digger who had desires for the finer things in life that money could buy. To sum up Tonya's personality, it is easy to say she was also daring and loves to be the center of attention. So with Beachy Stout's known pervert desires and Tonya's gold digger agenda, sparks fly for all the right and wrong reason. Wagwan! This is Make We Talk channel. Please give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and feel free to leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Everton Beachy Stout McDonald then started to have an intimate affair with the then 17-year-old Tonya, spoiling her with gifts and tripling her school lunch money more than her parents could ever afford to give her. He took her touring in his BMW luxury cars around the island, to 5-star hotels, restaurants, and Reggae Sunfest 2005. Tanya loved living the royalty life her sugar daddy was showering her with, and she was doing things with him in the bedroom that his middle-aged wife would not entertain. Let's put it decently by saying Tanya had Beachy Stout's eyes popping out of his head, fulfilling all his sexual extremist desires, making him feel young again. Tanya certainly brings out the drastic changes in the middle-aged Beachy Stout. He starts dressing in designer clothing that was intended for the younger generation. And Tanya also gets both his ears pierced. Beachy Stout was so into the young teen that he never put much effort into hiding the affair, as he went to school to pick her up in his luxury car, and Tanya would be parading with him in her school uniform. Port Antonio is a small town, so words get around quite quickly. Beachy Stout and Tanya's affair as tongue wagging, and residents were making drastic criticism of a love affair that should be deemed forbidden. But for Tanya, she enjoys the spotlight of being the center of the town's gossip. Eventually, words reached to Beachy Stout's wife, Merlene, about her husband's affair with the schoolgirl. And of course, Merlene felt hurt, betrayed, and dejected. After all, she was human. She confronted her husband about his alleged affair with the teen, and shockingly, he admitted to it. He blatantly tells his wife to her face that she has become too fat and unattractive, and that their bedroom has become tormented and boring. That, I'm sure, must be devastatingly hurtful for Merlene to hear her husband of so many years say those harsh words to her. Merlene carried on the daily running of her business, though she was severely depressed and had to be admitted to hospital for days due to high blood pressure. Despite Beachy Stout's uncaring feelings for her, she still wanted their marriage to work. So she starts sprucing up her appearance and begins a weight loss journey. She even goes out and buys provocative lingerie to spice up her bedroom with Beachy. But her efforts were in vain. There was no comparison to young Tanya. Tanya had left a long-lasting spell on Beachy Stout's brain. It so happens that Beachy Stout openly parades with Tanya and dares to take her to the place of business where he and his wife operate. On one such day, his wife felt disrespected and disgusted. She chased Tanya out of her business place. Tanya was feisty and determined, started cursing out Merlene, telling her that she is old and that her time has expired. On hearing those insults, Merlene charged towards Tanya with a mop stick. She hit Tanya with the mop stick on the forehead, which resulted in an instant lump. Tanya held onto the mop stick and both of them wrestled. Tanya's razor phone that Beachy Stout bought for her fell to the ground. Merlene grabbed the phone and smashed it into the wall, breaking it into pieces. Tanya ran to a nearby bar to seek refuge. All this drama happened in front of their staff and passerby, who gathered to see a dramatic confrontation. In all of this, whose side do you believe Beachy Stout took? Of course it was Tanya's. Merlene loved Beachy Stout, but the humiliation and brazen disrespect with his younger side chick was public knowledge. Merlene knew she was his wife legally on papers. I must now repeat the phrase I started with. Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. After 2 depressing years, Merlene MacDonald moved out of the matrimonial home in 2007 with the little dignity she had left, but vowed to legally take most of the assets away from Beachy Stout through a divorce, which she had accumulated documents as proof of Beachy Stout's embezzlement of their business money for recreation purposes with Tonya. Beachy Stout somehow got wind of his wife's intention and was very disturbed by the thought of losing any of his assets or splitting them with his wife. He wanted it all. On May 2nd, 2009, at about 10:30 p.m., shortly after Merlene closed her business and reached her house in Boundbrook, Port Antonio, with her 4-year-old grandson seated in the car. As she was about to open her car trunk to retrieve a bag of groceries, 2 men suddenly approached her. One fired a shot from the gun, hitting Merlene in the head, and both men made their escape by running away from the scene. Sad to say, Merlene died. The people who lived to tell the tales said she got a huge crowd at her funeral, including Beachy Stout, who was there playing the grieving husband. But those Port Antonians who knew the dramatic saga suspected Beachy Stout was responsible for his wife's murder. But remember, he was the untouchable in Portland. 4 months after the death of his wife, Tonya moved in with Beachy Stout. Then shortly after they tied the knot. With no care in the world about what the staff or Port Antonians think, Tonya quickly sprang into action by taking over the role of Merlene, managing the day-to-day operation of the business. Tonya's parents didn't approve of how fast she was getting involved with Beachy Stout on the heels of his wife's murder, but Tonya's greed for the riches causes her to ignore all moral protocols.
Tell me about yourself.
Yeah, I'm a savage. Classy, bougie, ratchet. Sassy, moody, nasty. Acting stupid. What's happening? What's happening? I'm a savage.
Name something you must have in order to live.
A man.
One of the 7 wonders of the world.
A rich man.
Something that improves with age.
A young man.
A Christmas present you'd exchange.
Oh, man.
Everton Beachy Stout MacDonald had his young trophy wife. He bought her luxury cars, provided her with servants, and gave her money to use at her disposal. In 2017, when it was her 30th birthday, he threw her a big stage show-like party with dancehall superstar Spice as a surprise guest star. Tonya was certainly living large, but in reality, she had a secret. Over the years, the 33 age gap difference between the couple started to take a toll on Tonya, and her obsessive desire to be with a younger man was mounting. Tonya disclosed to a close friend that Beachy Stout was having impotence issues, and most embarrassing, he had excess flatulence, which in simple term means excess farting, especially at night. So she gave in to her desire by falling in love with a handsome young police of Indian descent. Tanya was sneaking off quite frequently to be with her younger lover. But unaware to Tanya, Beachy Stout was noticing her frequent absence from the business place and home. Coupled with him being dominant and his insecurities, he paid to have her followed. His informants confirmed his suspicion. Yes, she was indeed cheating on him with a younger man. Tanya and Beachy Stout started having frequent arguments. He would confiscate her phone and hit her, causing her to have a swollen face and a black eye. When Tanya's father found out, he went to warn Beachy Stout not to put his hands on his daughter. A few weeks after Tanya's father warned Beachy, he and Tanya's mother were ambushed and shot. Unfortunately, he died, but her mother survived the gunshot injuries. And again, tongues start wagging, alleging it was Beachy Stout who put a hit on Tanya's parents. In Beachy Stout's corroded mind, he wanted Tanya to pay the ultimate price, which for him is a brutal and painful death. So he was planning and waiting for the right time to strike again. In orchestrating the murder of his wife, Beachy Stout turned to a trusted employee of his, Devlin Bubbler Minot. Beachy specified that he didn't want her shot like his first wife. He wanted her stabbed, chopped, and burnt. The price Beachy Stout offered to pay was $3 million. Devlin Minot said he didn't have the stomach to slaughter Tanya, so he subcontracted a man known to him from Another Bay St. Mary named Oscar Barnes, whom Beachy was skeptical of, citing the fewer people knew, the better. After a few planned attempts gone wrong, on Monday, 20th of July 2020, Devlin, a trusted friend of Tanya, lured her to a place in Sherwood, Portland, under the guise of purchasing a gun intended for her to take revenge on the person responsible for murdering her father. Oscar Barnes was introduced to Tanya as the middleman who knew the person sourcing the gun. With Tanya driving, Devlin was in the front passenger seat, directing Tanya where to drive, and Oscar behind in the rear passenger seat. Soon as they reached an isolated spot, Devlin suddenly exited the front passenger seat. Then Oscar Barnes, from the rear passenger seat, drew out a big sharp knife and started inflicting stabs into Tanya's body, finishing her off with a wide slash to her throat. They then set the car on fire with her to perish. The gruesome murder of Beachy Stout's young wife, Tanya, opened up ears of dark secrets Beachy Stout had hidden, and his once untouchable status in Portland Parish crumbled as police detectives from Kingstown Division were sent to investigate Tanya's murder. Devlin was the first to confess his involvement in Tanya's murder. He took a plea deal and was sentenced to 19 years and 10 months. He was the prosecutor's star witness. Oscar Barnes and Everton Beachy Stout MacDonald were tried together and found guilty. Merlene, Beachy Stout's first wife, also got her justice. There was enough evidence against Beachy Stout's involvement in his first wife's murder that led the new detectives to charge him with the 2009 murder of his first wife, Merlene MacDonald. He is also alleged to be involved in the murder of his nephew, who had a statement to the police in 2009 regarding Beachy Stout's involvement in his first wife Merlene murder. Merlene may not know, but she got justice for all the emotional pain she went through. Her children and grandchildren will take the last laugh for her.